The Durian Heat, bringing big ideas and critical opinions in Southeast Asia.
Hey, this is Arlene.
Hi, this is Gowri.
And of course, you are with us on our second segment of the day, where we bring you the Durian Heat.
That's right. And today on the Durian Heat, we have a very special guest in here. And of course, before that, we're sort of dedicating every Thursday for our partnership with Eco Nights. So we will have somebody special who is either from Eco Nights or from one of their partners who will share with us whatever environmental cause that they are working on.
And today we are bringing the founder of PopTani. So, hi.
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 Hello.
And you are Shahnaz, right?
Yes.
Shahnaz.
Shahnaz.
I'm just curious to know about PopTani. It sounds so cool.
So what is it that you want to know? Why is it called PopTani?
Why is it called PopTani, and who's the drug lord on the logo?
I like online radio. You can say a lot of stuff.
Yes, you can.
Okay. Well, the logo is actually representing a character that we call Papa Earth. You've got Mama Earth and Mother Earth. And Mother Earth helps when you put a seed into the soil. Mother Earth helps grow it. But someone has to go put that seed into the soil, right? And someone has to toil the soil, right? And that person is Papa Earth. You got Santa Claus is white because he's always in the cold. And PopTani is like Papa Earth, and he's always toiling in the ground. That's why he's a little bit tanned.
Okay.
Out there.
Yeah, he looks very Mexican
Yes.
as well, but I guess your
Correct.
reach can be universal
Yeah,
that way.
can be Malaysian too in that sense. Yep.
So give us a little background to PopTani as well. How did the whole idea came about? What motivated you to do it?
Okay. Let me see. It was an idea. No, it wasn't really an idea. It was just something that a bunch of us we wanted to do something. We wanted to tinker with something. A few of my friends about 5 years ago, and this friend of mine just came back from Australia, and he said, "Hey, dude, there's this cool thing that happening in Australia. It's called aquaponics." I said, "Oh, okay, interesting. What's it about?" He said, "It's about combining fish and vegetables together in a perfect symbiosis, and it's a closed loop system."
Oh.
I said, "Oh, interesting." And okay, thank you for sharing. That was the end of it. And then 2 months later, this friend of mine was crazy enough to actually start designing his own kit.
Wow.
Yeah. And then we got excited, and then we said, "Hey, you know what? Why don't we make it into a bigger scale, Let's go find a 6-foot tank with, 3 big grow beds and try and grow stuff and see the fish grow as well." So we went and sourced for fiber tanks and blah, blah, blah. And finally, we managed to get and source the 6-foot fiber tanks with the grow beds, and it arrived in front of my house. I was so excited. We installed it immediately. My wife came back, and my wife saw it, and the first thing she said, "Get that ugly thing out of my house." I said, "Oh man." But then, we went through, we
Right.
persevered, and, whatever naggings that our wives gave us, we persevered. And it was fun to see, because then we got our first harvest of bayam, kangkong, and, some other herbs.
Right.
So it's like, oh, that changed a lot of things, because suddenly the excitement of, hey, feel like eating kangkong. Hey, we still got kangkong downstairs, so we go and, pluck it,
Okay.
masak,
The feeling is different from
It's
like, hey,
very
let's go to the
different.
supermarket and buy it.
It's very different. So that kind of boosted up the excitement a little bit. So we started experimenting with all kinds of other plants and all kinds of other fish, and then see how, when you when you mix the fish wrongly, and then suddenly you get one fish left and the other one is all gone, because there's one predator fish in there. So you get to learn so much. And while we were experimenting, what we all noticed was that our kids were so involved.
Wow.
Oh, that was so interesting. It was so exciting.
Your kids,
Yeah.
I suppose, are
my
5 to
my
10
daughter
years
is
old?
4, turning 5, and the other one is turning 2. In
Okay.
6 months. Yeah,
very
she's
young.
1.5.
Mhm.
And of course, the 4-year-old was really, really excited. When all this started happening, she wanted to wake up in the morning to go feed the fish, and then she wanted to see how big did the plants grow in one day, and then she started comparing. There's so many questions that she was asking. So there was a lot of involvement with the family in that sense. So I thought, hey, this is nice. And for the next 3 years, while we were excited about the stuff that was growing, the nagging kept continuing to see how ugly it was. So we kept being reminded by our spouses that it was but ugly. Sorry, I just said that.
That's okay.
Okay, and then I thought, hey, there's two feedback that I'm getting a lot. When my friends come over to the house, when they take a look at it, they're interested to know, they're curious about it, and when I explain to them what is it, their eyes lit up. It's like, oh my God, there's this technology. It's brilliant. So I don't think people are against it, but my wife's reminder of how ugly it was also another feedback that I could overcome, which is, hey, if I could turn this into something prettier, and wives want to put it in their house, that means I've got buy-in.
So you're luring the housewives.
Yeah, because the dads kind of like it. The dads who love to tinker and can't sit down quietly, want to do something, would love it because it's an interesting concept. It's like nature. It's at its best. You don't have to mess around with it. You just have to manage it. You don't have to do anything to it. And for the wives, they get something that is beautiful enough for them to put on their coffee table or on their dining table. So
did you manage to beautify it?
Yeah, that's what PopTani is about. So PopTani is about introducing aquaponics to everyone's home in such a way that we can have, like, in our vision, to have a garden in every house, an edible garden, starting from a very small unit right up to the biggest units.
So the most popular unit that I see is the one that looks like a fishbowl, and on top of it there's a vase.
Yeah, that's called a gumball.
Gumball.
Yeah,
tell us more about it.
Yeah. So we wanted to have a kit that is simple enough for people to be introduced to aquaponics without going through all the nerdy and geeky stuff that we had to go through, like Googling, YouTubing, and all that. So we thought, can we introduce a kit that has everything? All someone has to do is buy it online, we deliver it to them, and they open it. In 10 minutes, the thing is set up. Because I don't want them to spend too much time in trying to set it up and getting it right. I want them to experience the growth.
So you're not the IKEA guy lah.
You don't
So
let
this is
them go
really
home
fast
and fix
assembly.
it.
You just basically have to,
you don't have like an instruction paper like.
Yeah, I don't have to do all
IKEA.
that. Yeah, I don't have to do all that. So it's a very simple setup, so that once it's set up, people can start getting involved in the growth process of fish and also plants.
Actually, earlier you mentioned something about your daughter as well, how this whole idea came about because you want her to see the growth of things, the process of things, and not just see chicken as in KFC or fish, the ikan goreng. So tell us a bit about that.
So as a parent, I know this is when I'm going to sound a little bit old.
How old are you?
What I realized was that when, as my daughter was growing up, her perception and the visualization that she has in her mind with regards to food is what she sees in a supermarket. So fish means it's in a form of fillet. There's no more bones. There's no more eyes that's jutting out for us. Once upon a time, I remember as a kid, that was one thing that we always play around with in the market, to go and poke on the fish eyes.
Right.
But she didn't experience all that. All she saw was a fillet, and chicken was all white and processed. There is no fur. There's no feathers.
At least the pasar pagi, you still have that visual, right?
Correct. And vegetables are all tied up with cellophane tape on a nice refrigerator.
On the aisles,
Correct. So if I don't do anything about it, and we are continuously going to live in the city, how is she going to experience all this? Because I did experience it a little bit. Maybe not as much as my parents did, but at least I did experience it. I've seen how a chicken was slaughtered. I've seen how they clean up the fish when they give you the fish. I've seen how my mother react with a live fish.
Especially balut. If I'm not mistaken, you have to buy it alive.
Correct. And catfish and all that. Catfish, how difficult it is to kill one.
I don't.
They can live
my mom actually put it in the fridge.
They can live for hours.
Oh
So all that experience, city kids ain't gonna experience all this anymore. So I think it's a beautiful experience for a child to go through, to see things grow, and not see it through a lens or through a screen, but to see it live, and to see that the next day everything is beautiful, and then next week suddenly you see 2 fish died. The questions that comes up, why, what happened, So your
relationship with nature, especially animals, become and plants become much more intimate rather than you see the post production. You actually see how how it goes from being a live chicken or a live fish or even a plant to your mouth.
Yep. From seed it grow, sprout into a small little plant, and then see this plant grow and grow and grow, and the next thing you know, it's in your mouth. You know, but the whole process of getting involved with food production, rather than just buy it with money.
Okay. And ultimately, I think your goal with PopTani is to make every home a farm.
Yes.
Do you think that it's possible to encourage people to do that? Or because why would they leave the convenient style of just getting something from the supermarket and going home? And why would they go through the trouble of
And especially in Petaling Jaya, like every 100 kilometer probably there's a supermarket around.
Okay. I see two trends that's happening that I believe might support the growth of a farm in every home. Number one, the trend of people buying organic. That number is increasing by the day. That means more and more parents are aware on what kind of chemicals is being put into your food, so therefore they don't want their kids to be exposed to that. But they are taking the easy and expensive way, which is go out there and buy.
Right.
And the thing is that what they don't realize in organic stuff or organic produce, most of it are imported. So can you imagine that this cucumber that is organic that you buy probably traveled thousands of miles to get to you when it could have grown in your backyard? You know, I think people need to start realizing about all this, and people have been, more and more exposed to it. Secondly, the trends in the Western world is telling me that this is something that people want to embark on. 50%, I think, if I'm not mistaken, don't quote me on this, but I think about 1 out of 3 Britons are already having a small little herb garden or vegetable patch in their homes, in their house, or in their balconies. So the trend is growing because food cost is going to increase by the day. It's not going to go down. We're not going to suddenly have more land, We're not going to suddenly have more farmers because everyone wants to turn a land into a hotel because that's the most amount of money you can get. So it's going to increase. And if you don't do anything about it, I think, it's going to be a huge struggle. Malaysians have still very a luxurious amount of food. Food is cheap. We can still go to the market and it's widely available, and we don't have to worry because, mamaks are open 24 hours. Food is just everywhere.
I want to go back to the kind of food that we can cultivate behind our backyard through the kind of system, I would say, you introduced. Is it like any kind of plants or any kind of fishes?
Okay, so the system that we are adopting into PopTani is aquaponics. Just a brief explanation what aquaponics is about. Aquaponics is when you combine fish and vegetables together. What I mean by together is the water from the fish is very, very nutritious for the plants. Now you just have to find a way to transport the water up so that the plants can get it, and then the plants, together with its roots and its process of photosynthesis, will add some stuff to this water, and the water gets filtered and the water flows back into the fish. So fish loves the water coming from the plants, and plants love the water coming from the fish. So it's a perfect symbiosis, and you don't have to add anything. It's a closed system.
Right. It's a win-win situation.
Win-win situation. So you're actually turning waste into something good.
Right.
But is it only river fish? What about sea?
Yeah, right now, commonly for people to start or for people to have is freshwater fish because it's the easiest and it's easy to source for the freshwater as well. It's a little bit trickier when it comes to saltwater because of the plants as well. The plants have to really get used to, heavy salt water, I think.
Okay.
But right now we are focusing more on freshwater.
Okay.
So the type of freshwater fish, anything that you find in Malaysian river, you can dump it into this tank. Tilapia, kelah, lampam Jawa, and all those fish lah.
What would you recommend? What kind of fish?
We went with the easy route, which is tilapia. Tilapia is very easy, and they are also very robust fish, so you don't have to really take care of them. Right now in my tanks, I'm trying out with marble gobi, or Melayu call it ketutu.
I have no idea.
Chinese call it sunhok.
No idea.
No idea. That's why we need this.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's just say I'm a businessman who only have
Woman.
or man, and I only have like 10 minutes to spare each day.
Yeah.
Can I still do aquaponics?
Yes, you can. I only spend, because maybe I've got a little bit more time, I spend a little bit more because I also like to talk to the fish. But if you don't have time to do all that,
Okay, that's too much info.
if you don't have time to do all that, then it's just 10 minutes is more than enough.
Oh, okay.
Because the plants gets showered with water continuously, you know. So they are happy. Plants get sun, they get water, they're happy.
Okay.
Fish gets food, they're happy. So in that 10 minutes, you just have to give them food.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll take another short break.
Sure.
When we return, of course, more discussion on PopTani.
The Durian Heat, bringing big ideas and critical opinions in Southeast Asia.
Hey, this is Arlene.
Hi, this is Gowri.
You're back with us again on discussion about PopTani, of course, with the founder himself. So, Shahnaz, right? You share a lot of information with us.
Yes.
I want to know, what exactly is urban farming? Because you promote it a lot, besides the aquaponics.
Urban farming is it's just the idea of having a small farm in a small space, which is city living. We don't have the luxury of a mansion with half an acre of land behind us. The most we have in an apartment is probably 5 feet of balcony. Or for a small terrace house, probably 3 feet by 6 feet of porch in front of your house. So urban farming is, I think a lot of the conversation around urban farming is how much can you grow in the smallest piece of land that you have. So if so the technology into farming becomes a little bit more exciting because we want to take a look at how do you boost growth without using chemicals, by using it as natural as possible because you have very little space. Or what can you grow in big amounts in small spaces. So this is a very interesting part of agriculture because it's actually having to simplify farming so that all of us in this room have an idea on how it can be done in our little space in the city. Yeah, that's it.
And is this the solution, you think, for the urban Keralites or just people all around Asia who are having a busy lifestyle?
I don't know if it's a solution or not, but I do know that it may just give us a little bit more time before food becomes too expensive for us to consume. So it's the education is to start first. So if you can start having, let's say for example, 20% of the households or the urbanites in Malaysia having a small little garden patch in their balcony, 20%, I think that would create a significant change to the way urbanites consume food.
And it reduces imports as well.
Absolutely.
And it imported goods. Of course, you want to create market access in other countries, but at the same time, it creates a lot of pollution, especially you want to ship all this produce from one distant place to Malaysia.
Correct. Even in Malaysia, let's talk about the amount of food that is imported in between states. Like imagine we have pineapple that's sold in Taman Mega. Where did this pineapple come from? Probably it came from the south of Johor. Can you imagine how many 100 kilometers it had to travel to get to you? So that we're cutting that one too, because most of these fruits can actually grow in our backyard. And we are also cutting the amount of time before the food is consumed when it was plucked from the tree or harvested from the pond.
I want to know, like, what kind of plants that people can actually grow in their backyard, because I never grow any eatable plants.
No, you got, I remember growing up where my house had a mango tree, my neighbor's house had a jambu tree, and the next door neighbor had a rambutan tree. So we were waiting for every tree to harvest, Once rambutan harvest, everyone goes to that neighbor's house, And then once mango season, everyone comes to my house. So we already had that. But I think, as space started to shrink, once upon a time, a decent terrace house had a porch that can fit 2 cars. Now you have a terrace house, you're lucky to even have half of your car parked in your porch. So space is shrinking. So obviously you can't grow all these kind of trees anymore. But in PopTani, in aquaponics, we like to, encourage the growth of a lot of greens, vegetables, salad, kangkong, bayam, kailan, cabbage. As long as it's got a lot of leafy greens, grow it. Avoid trying to grow something that's going to have a huge, roots and it's going to not be enough for the tank to fit. But yeah, find something smaller, but something that can be easily consumed and easily grown as well. Like for example, right now that I think it was one of the type of salad that you chop it and you take the small little stem at the bottom, you put it back into the ground, it can grow again.
Oh,
I was like, hey, interesting. So things that is easy to grow and fast to grow, well, plonk it in and it probably will grow. So yeah, experiment. Right now people are experimenting to see whether strawberries can grow in aquaponics.
Wow.
Because the temperature of the water is constantly maintained. So yeah, try it out, man. Never know.
You put it in under your aircon.
That's right. I mean, strawberries are really expensive these days as well.
And there's only one source or a couple of sources for strawberry to be produced in this country. And every supermarket that you see, even in small, small cities and small towns, if there's a supermarket, chances are they're selling strawberries there.
And what are the challenges when it comes to urban farming?
In Malaysia, it will be convenience. It's so easy to find food and to buy food. It's cheap, it's easy. So I think it also then stops people or doesn't encourage people to grow their own stuff or do something else about it, because everyone sells it and it's cheap. You don't have to worry about expensive food prices like in places like New York and Australia.
So talking about aesthetic values, do you also grow flowers?
Yes, right now we are experimenting with one kit that we are growing plants and flowers that actually promotes cleaning the air. Like some some toxin that is in the air, toxins in the air, like some chemicals, I cannot remember their names, but some plants actually are beautiful filters for this kind of toxins.
Oh, really?
So when you have it in, it may just clean the air for you. So we are experimenting into planting all that stuff, and those kind of plants are very nice looking. Their leaves are a bit more purple, and they've got small flowers. So we're going to experiment on that, purely on aesthetics rather than eating it.
Yeah, because I can see that bowl of goldfish. It will look great with some flowers on top.
So we're experimenting on that right
It's
now.
probably more, she'll nag more than your wife. But it's great. I mean, the product has evolved from what it was before and up to now, and even the glass bowl looks sort of classy with
slightly more
the
classier
flower with the bed on top. If someone were to start with home farming, what would their first step be? What would you advise them to do? Do they have to read a lot about it, or is it really as simple as just purchasing it and going home, fix it, and or is it more of a process that you have to learn each day?
I think yes, there's a lot of information that you can find online to help you with starting, but I think just start, and yes, you may fail the first round and you may fail the second round. It's okay, nature forgives you, and then eventually you'll get the hang out of it, and you'll find great minds kind of get attracted to each other. You'll suddenly find that you have network and resources in your area that is also interested about the same thing, and that's when you start sharing ideas, start sharing platforms, and that's how it starts. So don't think too much and don't beat yourself up too much if your first attempt was a failure.
So this is not really a
okay.
fail-proof technique.
I'm saying right now with my with the gumball kit, chances of success is a lot higher because there is very little interference of the human being in this thing. All the human being has to do is to attach, assemble, feed the fish once a day. Even that, sometimes people will overfeed the fish and the fish will die. But all this is part of the learning. And you experiment with the seeds that we give you, because we know that these seeds, we have tried it and it grows in our system. But if you're sick and tired of those seeds, try something new and see what happens. I don't know. Try growing pumpkin and see. You know, for all you know, you may get very small little cute pumpkins growing in this, small. I don't know. Try it out.
Anything can happen.
Anything happen.
What about mushrooms? Because I think a lot of Malaysians love mushrooms.
Yeah. Not tried it yet. Simply because we are, every time we talk about exploring this kind of plants, we are afraid that we might grow something that could kill people.
Oh, yeah.
There are some mushrooms that is a hit and miss.
Yeah,
you
that's
miss
true.
means, oh man, get into the hospital. And yeah, I've also gotten a lot of people who are talking to me about, can it grow more high yielding, plants. I said, like what?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, the plants that, you grow one, you can probably get $300 out of it. What kind of plants are you talking about? You know the kind of plants I'm talking about? Right.
I just got that.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm saying it officially on the record. We're not experimenting and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
And so it does consume electricity
Yes.
as well.
Yes. There's the only source of power that is driving this whole kit is a small air pump. And the air pump, when you run it 24 hours, it will come up to about 1 ringgit and 30 cents for your household.
So it's not that expensive to
very
cultivate.
Yeah, very small voltage, very small wattage.
So all the kangkongs that you planted actually cost 1 ringgit and
Probably. Yeah. So ROI maybe a little bit longer, but yeah. But still can.
I'm actually on your Instagram page. It's called PopTani Asia. Why put the word Asia on it?
We actually wanna. We don't wanna just exclude everyone else and just do this for Malaysia.
It's not just for Malaysians.
No, it's not just
Grow
for
up Malaysians.
I think every single country in ASEAN, for example, or in Asia, could start participating in this, because let's face it. I think land space in Singapore is much more scarce than us. So I think Singaporeans may really welcome the idea of having balcony farming. People in Jakarta, property prices are increasing, and the amount of space that people have living in Jakarta is also getting smaller and smaller. So every time this happens to a city, the city has to start importing stuff from outside of the city, and that becomes expensive. So these are all the side effects of a growth of a city.
And how has the trend been so far? Is it catching on pretty well in Malaysia? And what about other Southeast Asian countries?
The response has been interesting and also has been quite promising for me.
Okay.
When we did our kind of like a soft launch on the 28th of March this year, we got a lot of inquiries coming from a lot of countries. We had inquiries coming from the States. We have inquiries coming from the African countries. So it was a very beautiful experience to get these emails to say that, hey, how does your kit work, and how can we get one? So response, in my point of view, has been promising. Right now, it is driving my company, everyone in my company, to come up with more beautifully designed products. To cater more maybe to the Western world, with their Western kind of influence in their design, like maybe a more simplistic, Scandinavian kind of design to it, and then maybe with the people in Asia to try and include something a little bit more Asian to our design, because, like I said, I think people are not against the concept. People may be against how it looks. So if I can solve that, I think I'm onto something.
So you get inquiry and also I would say sales from all over the world.
But my company, although it started in January 2015, but officially we started on the 28th of March. So from the 28th of March right up till now, there are a lot of things that we are learning as we go. For example, right now we are concerned about weight, because the weight of our kit is important for someone who is staying in Norway if he wants one, because shipping it to Norway is going to cost him a bomb. So we have to take a look into shrinking the weight of our product, so that when it's shipped over to him, it's not going to cost more than the product. You know, so all these kind of challenges have come for us because there's a demand for it. So now we're going to take a look into it, taking a look into having PayPal involved in our as a way to payment scheme, and then trying to get all the credit cards merchants to also get involved with us, trying to tie in with logistics company to see, you know, what's the cheapest way for me to get these products into other countries. All this I'm taking a look at because since March right up till now, these are the kind of feedback that I'm getting. So it's worthwhile taking a look at it.
But it's very interesting that you are looking at the global world in terms of how you are going to market this product, because it's kind of relevant globally as cities become the main focus of society to live in, and less and less land dedicated to rural areas. So more and more people are thinking about farming in their own house rather than, you know, having a patch of land. In the past.
Yes. So you know, even right now, the idea of buying land somewhere else and you want to turn that into a farm and a weekend house kind of thing, it's getting more and more expensive to do that even. And to actually get someone to maintain that land for you and to, you know, the maintenance of that is a lot. Why not just have it in your house?
So speaking of that, if someone were to have a land and they want to start cultivating but do it the aquaponics way, is that possible?
Yes, that's very possible because we also offer customizing people's garden and porches so that they can include their whole koi pond into the system as well. And they want it to look a certain way. So we have those kind of, we also entertain those kind of requests coming from, you know, people who have got money to spend.
So anyway, we'll take another one short break. When we return, more discussion on PopTani.
The Durian Heat, bringing big ideas and critical opinions in Southeast Asia.
Hey, this is Arlene.
Hi, this is Gowri.
We are back again with Shahnaz, of
Hi.
course.
From PopTani Asia.
I'm still here. Yep.
So I want to ask you about fishes, because earlier we were talking about fish, and probably a lot of people are wondering as well. And you said your kit comes with everything except the fish and the water.
Because we have not been able to acquire the technology to cryogenically freeze the fish, and then by the time it gets free, you just have to put it into water, and you know it gets defrosted and starts alive.
So of course we know where to get water. That's fine. But what about the fish? When someone purchases your kit, how do they go about getting the fish, and what kind of fishes do you recommend?
Okay, so for those who are living in the cities, I would recommend you guys to firstly take out your smartphone, Google fish aquarium shop. Will probably be one which is about 15 minutes away from you, and in this fish aquarium shop they sell fish, live fish. Okay, and just take a look at KL. Every single fish shop that I've gone to, they have got fish that is aesthetically, you know, aesthetics fish or ornamental fish, and also they do have fish that you can eat, like tilapias and all that, but in, you know, the baby tilapias or the baby sunhogs that you can keep in your aquarium as well. So fish is quite easily available in cities to buy, but on our side, on PopTani side, we are also taking a look into the possibility of breeding ornamental fish for our gumball units, so that if anyone doesn't know where to get fish, they can come to our center and just take it.
And you have bigger units as well, right?
Yes.
So it's for bigger fishes.
Correct.
Can you describe to us what are the other units?
Yeah. So the second size is our balcony size units, which is about 3 to 5 feet, which means it fits nicely into your balcony. And in this kind of tanks, you can really start growing edible fish as well. And our garden units, the biggest units that we have right now, is about 6 feet and above. So the above is to cover all the customization work that we need to do. But the base starts at 6 feet. Now, with 6 feet kind of tanks, your tilapia can grow into a substantial amount where when you put it on the table, it looks like, wow, fish that was bought from the market.
Okay.
Because fish relatively grow as big as the space that they have.
Yeah.
So the bigger space, the bigger they grow.
Okay.
Smaller space, they tend to.
So I want to
just
get the
keep
bigger
showing.
one.
Yeah.
I can maximize the meat.
Correct. And we're talking about, for the 6 feet kind of tanks, we're talking about you can one time have about 30 to 50 fish in there.
Wow.
Because
Okay.
tilapias and all that, they don't really require a lot of space. See, this is why the universe works beautifully in that sense. You know, fish that is for eating, they are very robust. You know, they can grow in very small spaces. But of course, you know, the nicer looking ones will need space and blah 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 lah.
And you have customer service within your company
Yes.
to advise on how to keep the fish
Yes.
and what to do.
Correct.
So what is the minimum requirement to grow the fish? Do you need like 2, 3 fish?
It depends on the size that we're talking about. For the small indoor size that we have, perhaps 2 to 3 goldfish or guppies would be perfect. Don't eat your guppies. Don't eat your goldfish, guys. It's an ornamental fish. Especially tell your kids that. Don't eat them, alright? But for the bigger units, then you can have a lot more. Maybe, you know, for the balcony size, you can have maybe about 10 to 20. And for the 6 feet units, you can have 40, 50. I don't think it's going to be a problem. Yeah.
Wow.
And maybe you can tell us a bit about how PopTani is involved in KLEFF this year. I think that's how we learned about PopTani in the first place.
Yeah.
So how are you guys working together, and what can we expect from PopTani?
Okay. Well, in the past couple of years, I've been working very closely with Yasmin in KLEFF because my background was actually branding and advertising. So we were helping out with Eco-Nights a lot as well. And that was when I got to know Yasmin. And that was how PopTani is also involved with Eco-Nights and KLEFF. This year in KLEFF, we are gonna start start organizing workshops for people to learn a little bit more about aquaponics. It's not just about trying to sell our products, but it's also to try and see if people want to DIY it themselves. Hey, go for it. You know, try it out. We all started that way too. So we're gonna get more interaction with the public, and you know, that's when if you have any questions that you want to ask me directly, I will probably be there in the 3 days. And also in the whole spirit of inspiring youth to sustainable living, which is what Eco-Nights is about, I think we can sit right under that umbrella comfortably and support them with that vision.
Okay.
So yeah, I think, you know, Eco-Nights is doing a fantastic job with the youth, and they're doing a fantastic job with getting international audience to come in and participate into our events. And the partnership that they have with social enterprises and big brands with regards to sustainable living is pretty on track. Love how they work. Yeah.
And for you yourself, how can people contact you directly?
Okay.
Or go to your website or something?
Well, like I say, right now, the company is still small. I hope that it will stay this way, not in terms of the size, but in terms of the interaction and intimacy. At this moment in time, if you were to go to my website, which is called PopTani.asia, and if you were to ask me a question through askpop@poptani.asia, I'll probably still answer it. Okay.
For now.
now, yeah. So we believe in keeping things very simple because we want friends rather than we want customers. So all our customers, we want them to turn into friends. So the way of interacting is very simple. I sometimes get I remember about 2 months ago, I got a customer that contacted me at 2 o'clock in the morning because he was assembling his kit, you know, at 2 o'clock in the morning, and he just sent me a text, and he was shocked that I replied his text. It's like, what, are you guys open 24/7? I said, no, it's just that, you know, I'm chilling and watching TV, and you know, the phone rang, so you know, I picked it up. So it's still like that right now, and I hope to have this kind of interaction as you know, as I grow. The intimacy and the interaction is still the same, I hope.
Okay. And how do you foresee the future of urban farming in Malaysia or even in Southeast Asia as a
Okay.
whole?
How do I foresee? I don't know, but how I imagine it to be is it would be nice if every house grew something in Malaysia or in Asia for that matter, because there's so many things that will happen as a byproduct of this small initiative which is called urban farming or home gardening, edible garden in your house. I was just, you know, sharing this with a friend of mine 2 days ago, was asking me about PopTani as well, and I said my vision is, can you imagine if, let's say for example, you live in a neighborhood with 20 houses and your house grows tomatoes and the next house grows you know, basil and herbs, and the other house grows cucumber, And it's an agreement that is not even mentioned. That, hey guys, if you want tomatoes, just come and pick it up. And then, if I want cucumber, I'll just go over 3 doors down on the right, and there's cucumber there. If there's something there, I can take it. I think it will get neighbors to really interact with each other a lot more. And it starts with food. So you can either cook something and go to a housewarming party of your neighbor, or just have food available for your neighbors to pluck. I think that also gathers a lot of goodness.
Yeah, that's true. I think it's a forgotten culture, because I remember when I was younger, when terrace houses are still a thing, neighbors would just drop by, or we would drop by neighbor's house to pluck some curry leaves or some pandan leaves and all that.
Absolutely.
And these are easily available, and you can plant it easily as well.
I remember, when I was 7 or 8, when we came back from school in the morning. Of course, parents are not at home. Parents are all working, right? The whole row of that neighborhood, you could just walk into any house, and either the auntie will be there or the grandma will be there, and just enter, and suddenly there's going to be food for you, and that was how neighbors were once upon a time. It'd be nice if it was like that still. Right now, it's like neighbors actually have to look for a very big excuse to go ask something. It's like,
especially in this condo culture, I don't know how you are going to revolutionize that. But that would be interesting.
So hopefully PopTani will be one of the catalysts to improve relationship.
I really hope so.
And you should also maybe have a gift pack that someone can purchase.
I hope so. And right now I'm gonna make it in such a way that you can actually give it as a gift. Buy it from us online, and we'll deliver it to wherever you want it to be delivered to.
Do it on Mother's Day.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you very much. We are towards the end of our show. Very interesting sharing on PopTani, but you can always check their Instagram. Very beautiful photos you share on Instagram, as well of their main website, poptani.asia.
And also Facebook. Is our Facebook page is poptani.asia.
So thank you so much, Shahnaz, for being here today.
Thank you very much for having us.
Thank you.
This is a great initiative that you guys are doing as well.
Thank you.
Brilliant.